It's Thursday, every Thursday, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, 420, it's Canna News. Before me, noon to 3, it's usually side stage with Trav, but the week before, he was up in here playing with underwear on his head, and I knew it was going to happen, but, he's not feeling well, decided to stay home today. But again, I think Confucius say, you wear underwear on head, you take next week off sick. But anyway, this is a show about, we're here to change the law, not break the law, and we cover cannabis news here. And it's an exciting day for me because 23 years ago, a couple hours ago, I, became, a proud parent to a baby girl who's 23 years later is now a teacher, I'm proud, and I love you. So happy birthday. And so we're going to cover stuff that happened on 97, August 27th, 97, but there's a lot of actual current news. So that's good news, but I've got a couple retro things that happened this time in the back. But anyway, I'm here to reduce stigma and kind of re-educate about the benefits of cannabis because, again, in the 1930s, there was no real viable reason except for greed. That's why it was illegal. That's why they made it illegal. Follow the literal paper trail, folks. But anyway, because it's a good day for me, I know that there could be somebody out there wanting to run into the upright end of a pitchfork. So there's a mobile mental health crisis response number here, 1-800-233-4512. However, being homeless in the summer, you can kind of trick yourself into thinking you're camping. But the winters are mean, and the New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call at 701-235-4453. Y'all, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're covering August 27th, 97. 23 years ago, 2 hours ago, my daughter was born, and I became the cool dad. And it was funny because she says to me, oh, you were probably high when I was born. and it kind of set me back a bit because my initial response was, I'm sure of it. But then I was thinking, well, chances are, I was married at the time, I think, that if I was smart, I would have saved it for when she got out of the hospital. Because that's how real dudes do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're going to cover Canna News at 4:20. There is another measure out there. You can go to Tochi, Smokey's House of Pipes. Again, I'm not affiliated with the group at all, but I am affiliated with Pot Nation, y'all. And that's what I'm trying to help do, is get it legalized. And that's the thing that's out there. So, again, it'll take you 6 months to read it. But again, you always should read what you're doing. And I recommend going to Tochi if you're going to sign it and then buy some, unpasteurized honey, if that's even a thing. So the kid's going to pick the music and some humdingers. I'm not going to lie, it's not stuff I would pick. But you can never go wrong with this stinking the 10 Summoner's Tale by Sting. So here's If I Ever Lose My Faith in You. Here it comes. What a groovy little jam that is. If I ever lose my faith in you, ring-a-ding-ding sting. Ring-a-ding-sting is what I used to always say when the kid was younger. We've always been listening to ring-a-ding-sting, and I've always tried to be the wittiest person in her life, and ring-a-ding-sting was really fun to do. Again, happy birthday to my 23-year-old daughter 2 hours ago. 23 years ago, which put me in my 20s, you know what I'm saying? And this is Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We cover adult use cannabis legalization here and then nationally, and we got a lot in the news, and as we rev up politically, we're going to see a lot of stuff popping off, but I don't want to belabor you with a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of shows that's going to beat you to death, whichever side you're on. Let them beat you to death. I'm just trying to get cannabis legalized, and I'm going to drive that car right through all this mess for you. But there are a couple things we're going to discuss at 420, that some could argue that has a political tinge, but trust me, I'm all about the cannabis. I'm all about the people. Less strings, more sting. And Canna-Talk ND on Facebook, Canna-Talk ND on YouTube, where you can check out stuff later. We do the archive thing. RadioFreeFargo.org, you can listen right now, streaming if you want, and that's where my, what my kid's doing. And I believe what my buddy in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. What's up, Skyler? See, I'm international. Well, no, I'm not. I'm just national. Actually, I'm not much and nothing, just doing the Lord's work. That's all. But it's a beautiful day here in Fargo, and we're going to keep pushing through. Canna-Talk, an Indie for Freedom of Cannabis is the Facebook page. And then I wanted to shout out the tech guy. He does the cool YouTube things minus the videos. Pilko, my tech guy, my young Jamie, if you will. He's got a show called Canna Heads, and he's been doing them about as long as I have, so we're starting to get in a groove. And I can just tell that, for your money's worth, nothing. We're doing pretty stinking good. And so no obstacle too small for us when it comes to getting the word out on cannabis, because it's gotten the short end of the stick and the time stops now. And as we creep into a election season, you're going to hear a lot of talk, so I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. But again, let's stay positive. You can go to Smokey's House of Pipes, I know, in North Fargo, and my man, Joe Atochi, which also has Terp Candy. I wanted to mention they sponsor the show. They sponsor us here at RadioFreeFargo.org. And I know you can get Terp Candy there, and I know you can sign the petition that I'm not connected with, but I am connected with the Gang of Grass. Just made that up right now. It's only one letter shy of God. That's not a coincidence at all. But I wanted to say here what's interesting as we come up to the next round of songs, because it's kind of like another birthday thing, when we'd be opening presents, and it started for as long as I can remember, and she'd be eating cake, probably with family, getting gifts that some people wouldn't get. And I always try to be the downer, and say, well, everything's good for you today, but let's take a moment to, remember Stevie Ray Vaughan, who died on her birthday, actually, 23 years ago. So when the sky is crying, it's not all about gifts. So, but it is, it is a celebration. So we're going to celebrate Stevie Ray Vaughan here coming up. But it was kind of one of those things. It became a tradition for us to mention Stevie Ray Vaughan dying on my daughter's birthday as a reason to count your blessings and be grateful for what you've got, because you could be, leaving East Troy and be thankful for that if you've ever been to East Troy, Wisconsin, and then never make it to where you're going, and then the family having to deal with that loss. So if today's your special day, or even if it isn't, let's keep Stevie Ray Vaughan's family in our heart. Sounds really hippie, but otherwise it's your mind. So just pick one of those. And again, I always wanted something cool on my birthday. April 15th, it's like taxes and death. So taxes are due. And I thought, well, man, I want somebody born or something cool. Well, the only thing that recently happened was the Boston Marathon bomber. So, that happened on my birthday. I'm not proud of it, but it happened. So anyway, let's get right into the Stevie Ray Vaughan. Here's Tightrope, y'all. And beautiful. Tightrope, house is rocking. Normally we would go right into my super cool, awesome intro, but it's my daughter's birthday, and I've got a horrible birthday song here. It's by PJ Panda. It's a trap remix. So those 4 words right there, if you want to go get something to drink, you may want to get this time back. But here we go. Happy birthday song, and then we'll get the show going. Canna News, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson.
Yeah. I heard it was somebody's birthday. I heard it was somebody's birthday. Yeah. PJ Panda birthday song. Yeah. Yeah. Today is your birthday. We gon' say it loud. Today is your birthday. I know you're so proud. Today is your birthday. We gon' turn out. About to throw a party, get it lit and wild out. Cut the cake and we gon' say happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, yeah. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, yeah. Get a cake, blow the candles like a kiss. Throw a party party, everybody bringing gifts, yeah, yeah. Got a new outfit and it's lit, yeah, yeah. Best day of the year you can't miss. All my friends, it's coming in. And my parents raised my allowance, yeah. I'm jumping around, yeah, up and down. Hey, happy birthday, we gon' sing it now. Yeah, today is your birthday, we gon' say it loud. Today is your birthday, I know you're so proud. Today is your birthday, we gon' turn out. About to throw a party, get it lit and wild out. Cut the cake and we gon' say happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, yeah. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Today is your birthday, we gon' say it loud. Today is your birthday, I know you're so proud. Today is your birthday, we gon' turn out. About to throw a party, get it lit and wild out. Cut the cake.
All right, happy birthday to my daughter. That song was actually pretty stinking good when I think about it, right? But Canna-Talk ND, that's what we're here. It's time to pay the bills that I don't have or the money to do. But we talk about cannabis. That's what we're going to do here. August 27th, 97, in fact. We're going to cover the week. But today we're going to cover the actual day. And we got a lot to cover. Because it's my daughter's birthday, I'm going to stick with just today. But again, we've got stuff been coming in boom, 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 boom. So we're going to cover a lot of that. I would definitely want to cover Nebraska. I just want to briefly say that Joe Biden apparently needs to abolish marijuana legalization, congressional cannabis leader says, who is actually the California Democrat. So it's not just a congressional, I suppose, yeah, she's the leader in Congress, you know. And so that's a good article, marijuanamoment.org or .net. You can go check that out. But first of all, we want to talk about this elephant, all right, this elephant in Poland. A zoo in Poland announced it will give CBD to an elephant in hopes of alleviating stress she's experienced since one of her companions died. This African elephant named Fredzia has been showing signs of distress, and I'm paraphrasing, and depressed. The elder of the herd, Erna, which, I don't know, isn't the elder supposed to be a dude? Maybe that's a dude. Passed in March. And a really hard name to say because it's Polish, is the head of the zoo's rehab department, said this represents an opportunity to experiment with the non-intoxicating cannabinoid. So they've completed the first stage of the study, and they'll collect baseline blood, saliva, and feces samples to test for the hormone cortisol, which is associated with stress. And that's kind of a neat thing because if you can identify what cannabis can help, and it's a measurable thing in your body, well, man, you've got it. If it's high and you want it low, you take something, nothing happens. Then you take something. Oh, your cortisol went down to, within normal limits or whatever. Well, I wonder why. Well, the CBD. So that's neat. And I'm glad Fredzia, is going to get some help. And she's all alone, and she needs help to manage it, apparently, says the zoo director. This is the experiment. Then we know for sure if the oil is working or not. And that's true because you're going to check the cortisol levels. So they also added, because they don't want any of the animal people freaking out, is that the CBD is not very potent. So the only side effect will be some behavioral changes. And again, she's already exhibiting, the max of those behavioral changes. So if anything, you're not going to see more, I wouldn't think. So in the U.S., the FDA has yet to issue final rules for hemp and CBD that would allow for the marketing of the cannabinoid in animal feed. But there's a lot of research that back in the day, the animals out on the prairie was eating the hemp grass, and that we consumed a lot of CBD because of it being in the products that we consumed. So again, the only reason it was illegal is greed. Somebody had the thing they wanted to make the money off of, and it was kind of unhealthy for the world because it was chopping trees down, blah, 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 oil, everything. There was an alternative, but they made it the bad guy. They made it the devil. And here at Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, I'm trying to change that. At least change the way you think if you go back and research it, because this African elephant, Fredzia, going to get some help. And I know for a fact, I mean, and we've had animal people call in here all over. We've got Ozzy from Oshkosh. He called in. CBD helped him. My brother, CBD. I mean, we've had people on the show, you know. And so it's not just Poland people and their elephant. You know, we're all doing it. So now let's talk about Nebraska, because this is kind of neat. So they have enough signatures for the ballot, but the thing is they did it really quick. So let me see here. Filed a last minute, so it was a last minute legal challenge. Let me see here. Just like, okay, here we go. In a press release, Wishart emphasized that the campaign collected 123,000 signatures in 1 month during a pandemic. We couldn't have done it without the support of tens of thousands of Nebraskans across the state. It's an overwhelming evidence that voters want medical marijuana on the ballot and legal for patients with serious debilitating conditions. So that's good news. That really is good. And keep it up, Nebraska, as we keep clicking along here. Now, we've got youth marijuana use stable amid legalization expansion. And these are all brand new articles. And again, marijuanamoment.net. You can follow along, or you can check it out on your own. But anyway, the Biennial Youth Risk Behavior Survey released on Friday, and this is from the CDC. So, you know, depending on who you ask, CDC has some reputableness. But it found that the lifetime marijuana consumption increased during 2009 to 2013, and then decreased during 2013 to 2019, given that several large states legalized cannabis for adult use during that latter time period. So there was no change in the rate of current cannabis use among high school students, the survey found. We are assured by the latest results that youth marijuana use has not increased over the past decade, and you're going to find a lot of proof of the opposite as well, you know, because that's just what's happening, you know. And you can go to Canna-Talk ND YouTube, and Lisa and I, we did lies that the people that don't want it legal would talk about. And even back then, a year and a half ago, we were we were looking into it. We were actively pursuing it, of course, to argue that we were right. But time goes, and here we are. We're still getting articles. And we're going to read this article here about the vaping. And that was a big deal back in the day because of the e-acetate and just the black markety sketchiness, you know. And just being around, I can tell you that, you know, you want it in a package. You know, that's the first off. You don't want some weird vape shoved in a thingy with no words on it or nothing, you know, because then you know some backyard Bobby was looking to capitalize on the whole thing. And hey, vitamin E acetate helps him fill up the little doodad. More money, less stuff in the doodad. And that's, you know, Wilson Math and Science Class 101. But anyway, here, most legal marijuana states had fewer vaping-related lung injuries, they find. And they say they're less likely to see spikes in vaping-related lung injuries. There was a paper that was done in like some fancy whatchamacallit in the journal Addiction, seems to bolster arguments from reform advocates that legalizing and regulating marijuana mitigates the risk to consumers of using contaminated and potentially dangerous products, says that lady that did a fancy paper. And so there you've got it. So anyway, some of the earliest adopters of adult use cannabis legalization ranked among the lowest in terms of reported lung injuries from the outbreak. And we're talking about COVID now, with fewer than 1 in 100,000 cases for residents aged 12 to 64. So that's a fancy addiction magazine, you know, that is telling you that thing. So I can tell you right now that that's working. So shout out to the elephant, Fredzia, and them trying the CBD. Right on Nebraska. That's good to go. And I just wanted to mention House Bill 4001 because I've been letting that slip. And that's a measure that we need a hard pass no on. So in November, when you go into that ballot box, and you better go into the ballot box with a pro-cannabis mindset and let that dictate the integral moral compass for the rest of the stuff, you know. I mean, we got to get it done. However, COVID is making even the people that, you know, were normally the ones slipping the money in Washington, you know, bring your wife, we'll go to a fancy restaurant, we'll call him Philip Morris. He slides the senator $10 million. All of a sudden, they lower, you know, sin tax. Well, people aren't doing any of that stuff anymore. But the cannabis people are raking in the dough. I mean, just look at the numbers from Illinois. The month of June, 1.8 million products sold. Not dollars, products. So you're talking products are going to start at least $20. So do the math, I can't. So there are people out there that aren't suffering from COVID. And they're not. And so anyway, Philip Morris ain't able to bribe his senators anymore. They go out to dinner, there's no envelope under the table. Well, all of a sudden, he's not pushing it. And then all of a sudden a car pulls up, it's Be Real in a minute, you know, in a limousine. He rolls it down, he's like, what up, B? Here's $5 billion. Get your wife, we'll go out to eat. But you need to relax cannabis restrictions. You need to remove it from the schedule. See what I mean? And it's going to be as simple as that. Now, is that a crazy, you know, allegorical kind of reference? Not really. Nowadays, it's literally what happens. The money goes to the people at the fancy restaurant, and then it gets accordingly moved through in the lawmaking thing. So I would say that the things that you see promoted as pharmaceuticals and the booze and the tobacco, they're suffering too. And so they're still going to want to get the love, but the envelope ain't going to be as fat. But there are people out there that want cannabis legalized, that's in the stock markets, that's rolling in cash. They're going to be able to step up. And hopefully, if it's the Willie Nelsons and stuff, they're going to keep the little guy in mind. You know, they're going to come out fresh from knowing about California, especially, you know, and the taxing and the weird craziness that's happening, you know. So it's really kind of important to kind of realize that not everybody's broke right now. And politicians is the machine that's typically ran on revenue. You got the cash, we'll make it pass. That's what they say. I just made it up, but you got the cash, we'll make it pass. Canna-Talk ND with the Wilsons, what you're listening to. RadioFreeFargo.org, where you're streaming it. My daughter turns 23 today. Happy birthday. We've got a rave light in here somebody brought, so, you know, you can't hear the techno because it's in my head, but it's happening, and it's happening to the beat of Let's Legalize Cannabis. I just wanted to read this article here that's got Sleepy on it. And I just wanted to mention what Representative Barbara Lee and what Kamala, rhymes with comma, thanks Lisa, Kamala Harris, she's going to help because, so anyway, Lee said, and Barbara Lee is the Democrat California, in a recent interview, she told Revolt TV that her expectations is she was encouraged by his selection of Senator Kamala as his vice presidential running mate, given her support for legalization. Now, I was the first one to look back and see that, you know, and all the weird memes, you know, she's black, you know, locking up all the black people. But she is from California, and you can't help but be there and maybe think one way, you know, because I remember back when we used to watch the movie Colors, right? Blood in, blood out. I mean, there was a while where everybody that I knew thought that's how California was. You see what I'm saying? It's not necessarily true, but it made me change the way I thought about something for a while. You know, so life will change you. But she's had experience. She's from California, the congresswoman said, and she knows this industry, and she knows the laws very well, and she supports legalization. And she then quotes and says Vice President Biden hasn't quite got there yet. You know, but she is from California, and she has experience, and I'm just reading off the articles. You know, I don't have a particular, you know, view per se, except here at Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, we want to legalize cannabis no matter what. And so that goes with the current measure here in North Dakota that you can get involved. Look it up. Tochi has the petition. You can sign it, and we get through legalization, Oh, so House Bill 4001, basically it's this. Because we couldn't get the constitutional amendment measure, right? The one I used to push, but just kind of the beautiful measure just kind of dissolved. Who knows if that'll, see the light. Makes me just bless my own heart. That was a great measure. That was good. Anyway, I'm over it. But now, my point is that was a constitutional amendment measure, and it needed to get through because of this 4001 House bill that we're now going to vote on. And somehow the magicians of politicians are going to convince you somehow that making these kind of amendments, we get the signatures, right? It's been approved, it can go through, but then it has to go through a board first, and they'll approve whether or not it can be voted on. Just another little, control by not us after we make a decision. And that's what's been bugging me all along. I go to all the work, I make the decision, then you decide to go with my decision. I don't love that. So 4001, the House Bill 4001, look it up. That's one that's going to remove freedoms and power from the people. Expect the same amount of work, if not more, out of us. But then make us wait till they decide if it should get through or not. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but they're going to paraphrase to make you think that they're your little buddy. They're going to tuck you in with safety and, kiss you with a security kiss. But House Bill 4001 is a big boo from pro-cannabis people, as far as I know. I'm going to hammer it till it doesn't get voted on, because it's crazy. But anyway, here's some things he supports decrim. So we're talking about Sleepy. He supports expungement. He supports restorative justice. And he's got Alzheimer's. He doesn't remember where he was 5 minutes ago. I'm just kidding. I read that off here. It's not how I feel. But he supports medicinal marijuana. And he's got to like money because he's been in the system. He knows that money makes stuff happen. And this congresswoman says he's going to have to evolve around legalization. Now, I was talking with my friend Lisa. You remember Lisa? She and I were talking about how this stinking measure. I completely forgot what I was talking about, so we're going to keep cruising. But it's what happens. But now let's cover some stinking news that happened this year, some other day on my daughter's birthday. So first, I wanted to mention this NXGB stock price. It was the first next generational brand of CBD hit the stock market as a viable stock in August 27th, 1997. Isn't that crazy? So there you go. And last year, I just wanted to say last year, New York decrimmed cannabis on this date last year. Then I wanted to mention August 27, 97, by Deseret News, Attorney General Dan Lundgren, whose raid on a marijuana club got him lampooned in the cartoon strip Doonesbury, has decided to support a 3-year study of the drug's medical value. Now keep in mind, this is August 27, 1997. Attorney General Dan Lundgren, he raided a marijuana club, got lampooned in the cartoon strip Doonesbury, had decided to support a 3-year study of the drug's medical value. Now, Lundgren, he's a conservative Republican who strongly opposed November's Prop 215 that legalized cannabis for medical purposes. He will endorse a research bill that would fund the $1 million study. He said he backed the measure because the law leaves unanswered questions about when marijuana use might be appropriate or what conditions it might help treat. He believes Prop 215 was a dumb idea, and the voters made it clear that they want seriously ill Californians to have the right to obtain and use marijuana. So that's what was happening August 27, 1997, which, man, just 23 years. And he was even talking hesitantly. You know, he had that kind of, he wasn't sure yet. But we are just screaming through how much progress we've made. You know? So, in review, shout out Fredzia, the Poland elephant that's getting CBD. Shout out to my kid turning 23, and 23 years ago, I became a dad. There's a measure at House of Pipe and Tochi, along with Terp Candy. So there is a current measure in North Dakota. Search it out. They're out there. They have to have it in by December, or from December. I'm not really sure. That's how, I just know that I'll learn some more about it. You know, if you guys listen to this show, I'm struggling. But I'm going to get better. I'm going to get more information for you. I'm going to let my, the thoughts I have about the people, I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to focus on the cannabis for the people, because it needs to happen. I think tax bracket carrot dangling is not a great idea to get it legalized, especially in a state that we benefit from oil and property and things. And I would rather the Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act measure, kept going, because that's a good one. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. This show gets broke down with a cool thumbnail from my man Pilko, my young Jamie, as it were. And then it's on Apple and Spotify. RadioFreeFargo.org. Everything's streamed there. And if you got extra money, why don't you go there and donate a little? And we're now full circle to Terps Candy. This hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Terps Candy. Terps Candy enhances, it relieves, and relaxes with the power of terpenes, and they make a great CBD companion. Look up Entourage Effect. Terps Candy can be found at 14 Fargo Moorhead locations or online at terpscandy.net. Terps Candy, they enhance you, they'll relieve you, and they'll relax you. Comes in 2 flavors. The yellow bag is my favorite. I'm telling you, you'll never go wrong with a Terp Candy. We've had them in here. I'll try to have them in again. But if you're going to put money into an idea that, they just came up with an idea and they're trying to see it to the end, I love that about everybody. I'm kind of the same way. I thought we should have a radio show. I presented it. Now I'm doing it. It's like the 40-some show. I've had people on. I've had people off, And it's a confidence booster, and Radio Free Fargo has given me that by giving me a shot. And as I get bigger and better, I'll have to work on my ego probably. But anyway, we've got ourselves a show there, folks. But here's the exciting thing. So my daughter then also picked these last 3, but then I picked the last one. But again, this is going to be a gamut, 3 songs, and then I'll come back, tuck you guys in till next Thursday. So without further ado, here's Heart of Glass. Whoo, happy birthday to stinking me, y'all. Heart of Glass, Blondie, what's my age again? Blank 182. Wrap that up with Figured Out, Royal Blood, 2 dudes just doing rock stuff. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We cover adult use legalization. I promote it. I reduce stigma. I change the education from negative to positive. We got derailed back when greed was able to convince everybody that hemp was bad. And so it's a new era, a new time. And so let's get on the bandwagon, research it yourself. You'll find that cannabis is the train we need to be on, and I encourage everybody to do so. Get involved legislatively, vote, educate your aunt on inflammation and the beauty of CBD. And then I'll be back here, like I always am, Thursday, 4 to 5, here on the best station in town, RadioFreeFargo.org. You can stream it. I love it. You should too. And then Side Stage with Trav is also on my day. And then coming up is Locals on the 8th and another show. you want to check that out. Maybe I'll write it down on something so I don't sound less, selfish. I know when my show is 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org. Go there and donate. If you want to give them some money, they'll take it. We need it. But until then, keep your guys' heads up. Keep pushing. Stay open. Be green. Go to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson on my Facebook page. Go to ND for Freedom of Cannabis. No act. And then I put, kind of weird memes up there so it's not all, it's kind of fun. All right? Happy birthday to you and everybody. And until Thursday, let's do what we always do. Here's David Allen, Judgment Day. Be good to yourself. See you next week.